So we got a 9th gen Civic SI up today, and this one is supercharged. So let me explain a little bit how this car ended up in here. Okay, so let me bring you up to speed on this one. This guy originally walked in, he was looking to get his car looked at. We didn't have any availability that day, so he was going to come back next week. Now, the complaint was, he said he just got a brand new clutch done, and the car didn't feel like it was pulling correctly. So I got the info. The info was relayed to me ASAP. I can't be everywhere at once. I can't be on the dyno and intaking cars. As soon as I got the info, I told the office manager, I said, hey, call him back up. My major concern was, he just got this brand new clutch done, and we've seen this before, where other places will not adjust the clutch pedal properly. So my whole concern was, okay, brand new clutch, the pedal's not adjusted correctly. So what could be happening is the clutch is not maybe fully disengaging or engaging. If the clutch is being, if you're off the clutch pedal and the clutch is slowly riding, where it's like engaging, even though it's not, you're gonna wear that clutch down almost instantly, pretty quickly, I will say. So I went back and I said, hey, call him back up. Tell him I'd like to get him in there immediately, see what's going on with it for the safety of that brand new clutch. We're trying to protect that investment. Even though it wasn't done here, if you watch my other videos, I'm looking out for everybody. So as we're doing this, we're trying to gather some more info from the customer. Hey, give us some info on the setup. Is it tuned? We couldn't really get anything from him. He just bought this car. It's used, and it came like this. So we have to take the fuel pump out now. We're going to see if it's an aftermarket one. If it's an OEM one, we're going to put an aftermarket one in there. Same with the injectors. We tried to look if there was any part numbers to figure it out. I almost think they're OEM. That's what I'm thinking. And then the other thing that kind of just raises some flags here is if the fuel pump is stock and if the injectors are stock, did somebody at one point supercharge this thing, have an issue, and then take everything back off, sell it separately, keep the supercharger on there maybe as a selling point, and then just sold the whole car? I'm not sure. We don't know. Customer doesn't know. We don't have that info. So we're going to go along, and you're going to come along with us and see during this whole process what happens and go from there. So I'm going to keep you guys updated. I'm going to try to get a little bit more footage as I normally do in between areas and whatnot, and we'll go from there. So looking over the dyno waiver and talking to the customer, he does not know if he has a fuel pump in it, and the injectors he doesn't know about either. So we are pulling the fuel pump out. This is all the stuff that was in the car. Very important that if you ever bring in your car to a shop and you don't maybe know what's going on with it, have the inside cleaned out for us, please. Not really his fault though. I understand, I was informed too that he just bought the car, so he doesn't really know what's going on with it. So we're going to get it right for him, as we always do with customers. So just something to show you guys though. This is something that you guys might not ever anticipate, and unless you work in a shop, you don't see this kind of stuff that we have to do. We got the new FIC injectors in. When we took his old injectors out, we had there's no part numbers on there. We don't know what they are. They kind of look dirty, and they were like just forced in there. So, if there is an instance where we take things off, if a customer doesn't know what he has in there and there's a part number, and it's something that's quality, we do flow test them here so we can see how they're flowing and we can clean them. Same thing with the fuel pump. When we took it out, when we took the fuel pump out, I instructed my tech, hey, if it's something that is aftermarket and has a part number on it, just put it right back in and document it. This was an OEM pump from the looks of it, so we got a brand new AEM pump in there as well. We're going to wire the injector clips. We're going to wire the injector clips directly, and I will say this every time I can have a chance to say it, so if you watch my videos, then you've probably already heard this. Whatever you do, do not run the injector adapters. I don't care where you get them from. They always seem to be a little bit loose. They can cause a misfire. A slight misfire at higher RPMs is not going to be noticeable until something really bad happens. So we got the fuel injector stuff over here. The clips are going to get wired in directly, no adapters. Highly recommend everybody to do that. Do not run adapters. So we're sitting inside the vehicle, about to license it, and if you're not familiar with the whole licensing, I'm just going to show you, but I'm not going to go into detail. There are videos that I will link down below. There's 2 of them I did on the licensing because a lot of people get confused by it. I understand why, and I tried to make it very clear in those other videos. So let me flip my phone around and show you what I got going here. So Flash Pro is open, as you can tell, the software. I have some stuff covered up here that I cannot show you guys, and as soon as I click it, it's going to ask me if I want to license the vehicle, which will basically install the program onto the vehicle, allowing me to tune it. So you don't get the device. I have the device over here. It's dark, so it's hard to see. Hold on. It is black, because it's the dealer version, and I'll show you what happens when I press license. So there's not much really to show you what happens. I license it. Now I can put a tune on there and set it up correctly, and that's exactly what I'm going to do. So I'm going to get started here. I'm going to disappear for a little bit, get this car dialed in like it should be, and then I'll come back with a little bit of an update. I just wanted to add too, it's got the stock intake box and it's got the stock exhaust, but I believe the resonator is cut out, so it has a piece of pipe there, but that's not going to help for performance either. See what it wants to do. So you can see in that video that the air fuels are not reading correctly on his primary oxygen sensor. Now, one of the things I mentioned, it's actually on our dyno checklist and the waiver and all that stuff, that is if you're running a car that has closed loop settings or parameters and all that stuff, that it is important, depending on the year of your car, to have the primary oxygen sensor replaced. A lot of guys, specifically, you know, let's say, because I'm in a 9th gen Civic, 9th gen Civic, it can be anywhere from, you know, if it's a 2015, 2014, you're talking about close to 10 years old. And my question I ask these guys is, hey, when has the primary oxygen sensor been replaced? And a lot of times the answer is, I'm not sure. Or it's never been replaced since I own the car. So the closed loop parameter is going to be disabled, so the computer's not trying to do anything weird. If you're not familiar with closed loop and stuff, well, that's a whole nother topic and a different time for that. But you know, this is why ultimately it is important that a car, if you have that closed loop option available, that there's 2 spots in the exhaust, one for my sensor, one for the stock sensor, so I can verify the stock sensor is reading correctly compared to mine. And as far as the differences go, my oxygen sensor is replaced very frequently, and I know that it reads correctly. So now, you know, I have it in the note. I'm going to let him know if he wants to replace it now. He can later on. That's fine too. But it should be replaced so we can enable closed loop and have that take over certain areas in the closed loop where that would take over, because it's just going to run that much better. And I'm going to add one more thing, because I can already hear the people commenting, well, why do you need closed loop? Can't you disable it? I've said it before in other videos, so if this is your first time watching my videos, if we have that option to have it available and it's going to make everything that much better, why not have it? Primary oxygen sensor is not that much money. It's an important thing to have, and that's the other thing as well. If anything were to happen with this car where the customer's like, hey, I need to take a data log, and this goes for any customer, let's see what's going on. Let's say he has a stumble, or, you know, out of nowhere the car was running good and then it just starts stumbling. Well, if his primary oxygen sensor is working correctly and reading, it's as simple as taking a data log out on the street and seeing right away, hey, yeah, man, your air fuels are totally changed. They're totally different. So it's something nice to have. You just don't want to disable it. You just don't want to put it, you know, in the back of your head. It is something nice to have. And if, like I said before, if you're not familiar with closed loop, go Google it and read up on it. you hear what happened in that little dyno pool? Go back and take a listen. You don't hear a supercharger, do you? So right now, the car is making about 20 more horsepower than what it would make all motor. So this goes off, and I'm going to go run and grab a map sensor, because I always say this. We got 3 things to look at while it's on the dyno. Is the car building boost? Yes, it's building roughly about 8 pounds of boost. Are we making power? No. What I can also look at is the air fuels. Are the air fuels dialed in where they need to be during a wide open throttle pull? It's running super rich. So what does that tell you? The computer thinks it's seeing boost. The dyno is not going to lie, though, with power. So ultimately, something's going on where this supercharger is not holding boost for whatever reason. I'm going to go run and get that map sensor really quick. So I wanted to grab this map sensor and show you guys, because I always, if you watch my videos, then you know what I'm going to say already. Map sensor opening. It's about the size of your pinky, the tip, roughly, give or take. What I hear a lot from guys coming in that are boosted, supercharged, when we ask them, hey, did you do a boost leak test? The answer that I hear back a lot, no, but I did a pull on the street and I saw that it was building boost. It doesn't matter. You have to take into consideration how small this opening is and then how large the turbo system is as far as where the boost has to go. Now on this, because it has no intercooler, it's less area that actually has to fill up with boost, but that's the same, that's without saying. We see that it's building 8 pounds. We see that the number on the dyno is reading extremely low. So if I did a pull on the street, yeah, it's reading boost. Does that mean all that boost is going into the engine? No. So as I was closing the door, I walk on the edge of the lift, and I not only notice small little specks on the floor that are going to be hard to see, but you can probably see these. See these small little specks? The darker specks? See how they continue to go? All of this. You see what's going on now? We got some kind of oil leak that's really bad. So we're going to do an inspection when we take the car off. You can see it dripping all on the dyno. Not only over there, too. It also is shooting it to the front. So we're going to see what's going on in there, too. Okay, so I remember to turn my light on, and I have my extra light. You can see oil is just everywhere. And I'm trying not to get it on my shoes as well. I will add that I know some shops charge for a dyno cleanup like this. I don't. It's not like the customer planned this. You know, it happens. It sucks. It's unfortunate, but, you know, I try to help customers out as much as I can. Going back over here, it looks like the oil filter is just possibly leaking. It's really hard to say. I don't see any oil above the filter, and I'm trying not to get covered in oil, so I don't want to stick my hand up there and phone and get it all, you know, so, but that's where it seems like it's coming from. So we're going to try to figure that one out and fix that as well. So this one's a wrap. I will add that when I mentioned the original complaint was the car was not pulling correctly, that was ultimately when I got in and I scanned it. It had multiple misfire codes. We did ask him if it had a lightweight flywheel. He said no. We did inspect it. We took the cover off. It did have a lightweight flywheel. You know, at that point, he said that his buddy did the clutch, but he had no clue what they put into it. And then it turned into, you know, we heard that he just bought the car. He told us he just bought the car used, so he didn't know what was in it. It was kind of a conflicting stories we were getting. Ultimately, at the end of the day, if you're looking to buy a used car, it is very smart to have it inspected beforehand. You can save yourself some money. And in this case, I don't know what was going on. It kind of seems like they left the supercharger on the car for whatever reason, but they took all the external parts off, you know, the injectors, the fuel pump. And I'm going to say at one point it did have a Flash Pro. If he bought the car used, I'm going to say whoever sold it to him took the Flash Pro off, unmarried it, and then sold that as well. So it is what it is. I do have one other small little clip. We did find out that the oil filter was in fact leaking. It looked like whoever installed it before it came here, they damaged it somehow, and you'll see in this little ending clip. Thanks for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe.